I was crushed. All of that anticipation came crashing down in a moment. So now all of a sudden, we go from this, it could happen spontaneously, you never know, just all of a sudden I'm going to start having contractions, to in the morning I'm going to get cut open and I'm not going to give birth. It has taken me a while to be able to talk about my C-section. I can't even describe the horror when I found out that I was going to have a C-section. It was not part of my plan. I was not one of those people that's just like, oh, thank goodness I don't have to push him out, blah, blah, blah. No, it was not part of my plan. So, I'm making this video for a couple of reasons. One, it'll be good for me to talk about it. I haven't really gone through everything that happened and how I feel about it all at once since, and it's been a little bit over a year. I have been angry and sad every time I think about it or talk about it, and I feel like now I'm at a place where I accept the fact that it happened. I had a C-section. We're both okay, and that is all that matters. So that's one reason, is just kind of to talk about it where I can tell someone, and I'm not getting, like, I don't have to feel guilty for some of the negative feelings that are going to come out as I talk about it. Also, for those pregnant mama-to-be's out there who are, you have your birth plan, maybe you have it all typed up like I did. I had it typed up and it was in our diaper bag and everybody had a copy of it, and if you have a plan, you should watch this video, because even if it doesn't happen, and I hope that it doesn't, I hope that you're able to go with your plan and everything works out perfect, but as you're going to be told, birth plans do not always happen the way that you want them to. And I want you to understand what happens with a C-section. I know there's a lot of videos out there about C-sections, but this will just be my experience with a C-section. So I'm just going to go right into talking about it. As I've already said, I am grateful that Jake Jr. was born healthy and okay, and for the most part, I'm okay. Although I do have I had some issues, complications post-op, and I feel like I will always have some degree of complications for the rest of my life from the C-section I had, which is unfortunate. But anyways, so I was at 40 weeks and went to my 40 weeks. Well, I was 39 and 6 days, so I was about to turn 40 weeks. Jake Jr. was due September 24th, 2015. September 23rd was my 40 weeks appointment. And my mom was in town from Florida, and, we were just so excited. I was so ready to go into labor and have that whole experience with my mom there, and I was just like, I was to that point of pregnancy where you're not even afraid of pain, of any of that stuff. You just want to do it, And I wasn't even like, oh, I just want him out of me. Like, I did want him out of me, but really I wanted to go through that birth process. I mean, I had carried this child for 9 months, I had done everything right. I drank like 6 bottles of water a day. I ate fruits and vegetables, and I did everything possible to have a healthy pregnancy and make a healthy child. And now it was to the point where I get to be a woman and have a baby, And I was so excited, and everything was, I was crushed. all of that anticipation came crashing down in a moment. So I go to my doctor's appointment, they check me, and she's like, I think, but I'm not sure, but I think that I don't feel, I think that I'm feeling the butt instead of the head. And I'm like, no way. So she wants an ultrasound, so I go straight to the ultrasound, and they were so unprofessional. So, you know, I am on the verge of panicking, and my mom is just looking worried, big eyes. I have big eyes from her, but, you know, she's just like, oh my gosh, and we're both, I'm laying there, and she's holding my hand. She's like, it's okay. And the ultrasound tech, is talking to another lady in the room. The doctor's not in the room. And she says, yep, transverse, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, they're talking to each other, and I was like, so, he is breached? He's upside down? She's like, yeah, he is. And I'm like, oh my gosh. He was head down the whole pregnancy. He turned. You know, now I've got all these questions and fears, and what the heck does this mean, you know? And she, you know, they're talking to each other, and they're like, okay, so you can just, you know, go up front, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I need to talk to the doctor. And they're talking about whether or not I can talk to the doctor. I'm sorry, I'm going to talk to the doctor right now. Go into the room. I am such a mess already. I mean, I'm sobbing, and I'm trying so hard to keep it together, but I'm just like, my entire, you know, oh my God, I didn't plan for him to turn, you know? He was head down. I don't understand. And the doctor was just like, this happens. And I'm like, but you told me it wouldn't, because I specifically asked her, what's the chances that he'll turn? He's been head down this whole time. The only thing left that could happen is if he turned. And she had told me it's less than a 3% chance. 3%. And he turned. And I was just so upset, and she pretty much was like, you don't really have many options. And because I wasn't prepared, I didn't know what options I actually had, and I did have options, but she just kind of made it out like, okay, in this situation, we do a C-section. And I was just like, he's breached. You know, I was not in a position to make any decision, and yet, you know, I just got backed into a corner, I feel like. And not in a bad way. The doctor was very sweet. She was a very nice, wonderful doctor. She wasn't the one who did my C-section, but so I planned the C-section for the next day, his due date. So now all of a sudden, we go from this, it could happen spontaneously, you never know, just all of a sudden I'm going to start having contractions, to in the morning I'm going to get cut open, and I'm not going to give birth. Ever. Like, in this pregnancy, I'm not going to give birth to my son, who I carry, you know. And so, I was a wreck all day. I cried and cried and cried, and really you're mourning, like, you're in grief. I can't even explain. If you have ever been in my shoes, and you had, all of a sudden you're going to have a C-section, you know. I mean, it's literally, I don't want to sound like I'm exaggerating or complaining, but it's unbelievable. It's just so unbelievable, but yet it's reality. Like, you have to come to grips with it. You have to accept it, because that's what's happening. I'll make another video on the options that I actually had that I didn't, too much was going on, and I didn't have anyone, you know, that knew any other options, or that were going to promote other options for me. So anyways, there was no option. I had to have a C-section, and like I said, I had a meltdown. So now to the C-section. So let me just say that if I could go back, I would choose a different OB. office, because the one that I ended up choosing had like 2 or 3 doctors, and I was okay with that. I was like, that's okay, 2 or 3 doctors, and then in the end, you know, one of them will be the one that helps deliver my son. That's cool. In the middle of my pregnancy, 2 offices merged, and now all of a sudden there's like 7 or 8 doctors. So I ended up seeing all of those doctors 1 or 2 times, and I was only actually comfortable with one of them. The other ones, I mean, it was ridiculous what some of these doctors tried to get me to do while I was pregnant, or their answers to some of my questions. I mean, the majority of them just acted like I was a burden for being there and asking questions. They didn't want me to have questions. They wanted to come in, measure me, and be done. And it was just not a good experience in that regards whatsoever. I kind of liked and felt comfortable with the doctor that ended up doing my surgery. I had only met him one other time, and you know, I really wanted it to be a woman who delivered Jake Jr. So, but he was very nice. Like that morning we had to be there at, I think, 6:30 or 7 o'clock, and he came in and he did an ultrasound and showed us that Jake Jr. was, I think he said, complete transverse or something like that. And he was nice. He had good bedside manner. And we said, you know, we still want to wait until the umbilical cord, you know, stops pulsating, and Jake wants to cut the cord. And he was like, absolutely, I completely support both of those. We will do that. Don't you worry, you're in great hands. Everything's going to be fine. And I felt comfortable. I was okay. I was so excited to meet Jake Jr. You know, at this point, I was still bummed, but I had that adrenaline rush because I'm getting ready to see my son. So I had to leave Jake at first to go get prepped for surgery and get my spinal block. I was sitting, so they take me to the surgery room. I have a cap on, and I have a gown on, and I'm sitting on the surgery table, and there's like 10 people doing stuff in the room, and the door to the surgery room is open, and there are people, construction people, working on like the roof, the ceiling in the hallway, and they're walking by. They can see me. And like half of my gown is kind of open, so I'm like holding it so nobody can see my butt, you know. I'm like, can we shut the door? And so yeah, people are doing construction work. There's sawdust, there's drills, there's loud noises right outside my surgery room. What the hell? Anyways, then an anesthesiologist comes in to do my block, and it was a different one than the one that I had just met 10 minutes earlier. But anyways, then they couldn't find the anesthesiologist to do my block, and there's like this whole miscommunication. Nobody knows where this guy is. It was ridiculous. That being said, I guess the block went okay. The nurses were very good with me, you know, as far as talking me through it and being there with me, and the block went fine. I don't even remember it. Like, I don't remember the pain. I do know it hurt, but I was like, well, I don't get to have contractions, so, oh well, you know, I didn't really care. I know. Mommy's talking about when you were born. I love you. I love you, baby. Yes. Where's your car? Where's your car? Huh? Where's your car? Where's your car? So we can play with your repair shop. Where's your car? So after after they did the block, they laid me on the table. I wasn't strapped down or anything like that. That would have been kind of weird. And I wouldn't have done well with that because I am claustrophobic, and if I'm ever feeling confined, it won't work. So, it was a pretty awesome sensation though when the block kicked in and my legs went numb, like limp. Anyway, so I'm laid out. They're scrubbing my belly. The surgeon is scrubbing in. My husband comes in and he is set at my head and he's talking to me, being all supportive, you know. And then they start cutting on me, and I'm okay, you know. I'm just excited. And I'm talking, you know, me and my husband were just talking. I think we were joking around. We were just so excited at this point. And then Jake Jr. was pulled out, and we could hear him cry, and his cry was the best. I'm gonna cry just thinking about it. Ugh. That cry is the best thing you will ever hear. And I was busy listening to Jake Jr. cry, and I didn't hear what happened after he was born, or, you know, when he was pulled out of me. But Jake was aware of what was going on, and he later told me what happened.